say shakshuka is Israeli? A couple of days ago.
Shakshuka?
Didn't you say it's Israeli?
Oh, I don't know what it is. I know
But
that
why would you say that?
Say what?
That shakshuka is Israeli?
Well, they served it to me on El Al, so
I mean, it's a Palestinian dish, just like
okay.
falafel.
Well, I
and hummus.
apologize. All right. Well,
I mean, no offense Palestinians because they're taking the land, the food, like, there's like hardly anything left.
Right.
And then when somebody with as many viewers as yourself says that,
right.
then you know what I mean?
Yes, I understand.
But what do you think of this wall? Is this the first time you're seeing it?
It's the first time I'm seeing it.
What does it look like to you?
It's like any wall that people put up like this, it immediately becomes a canvas for people to be angry and outraged and express themselves. I mean, it's
But what does
really...
a wall look like, though? Is this a normal wall?
Well, no, I don't think any wall like this is normal. Do you?
I'm Palestinian.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No. No.
Not at all.
No. It's sad.
It's very sad.
Like
it's an open-air prison at the end of the day. That's not. You don't create peace by segregating people, right?
No.
That's not. There's no peace with that. You don't segregate people. You don't separate cancer in someone's body from one part to another. Do you know what I mean? You get rid of the cancer, and then those that can live in peace, who are human, who have compassion, and aren't okay with babies dying. My crew that just came out from New York and California just went to an 8-year-old girl's funeral because the settler ran her over in front of her father.
Right.
You know what that felt like, to sit in front of her parents?
Well, no, I can't imagine.
And got away with it.
Yeah.
And then gave him.
Well, let me ask you a question. What do you see as a solution?
As a solution, well, one, America has to stop giving Israel $10 million a day just for weapons. Because guns and bullets is not, and the white phosphorus and all the other kind of atrocious weapons they used in Gaza are not going to help. That's not a solution. Once the weapons stop, Israel has no choice but to talk about peace. They say that they talk about peace, they don't talk about peace. Peace is not these soldiers sitting on every building. You know, last night we stayed in Nablus. They brought settlers in to pray in the middle of a Palestinian city. They shot 2 boys. One of them's in critical condition right now in a hospital in Nablus, 22 years old, shot in the stomach. I mean, that's not normal that you put people in their houses and don't allow them to come out. So some people from Brooklyn or wherever they came from want to come and have a religious tour in their city. Like, it's just not fair. For us, like, we're going home, right, in a week. You got little babies that have to wake up every day to bombing and shooting. What do you think that does to the, like, they grow up, that's all they hear, that's all they see.
Right.
That's not fair, man, and we're paying for it. My tax money, I live in New York. That's our tax money.
Wait, you live in New York, you don't live here.
I mean, I can't live here. I can't because I can't deal with this shit. I didn't have to grow up like this, so I can't mentally deal with it because I never had to grow up like that. When you grow up like that, it's normalized, which isn't normal. It's actually even worse. But for me, I have a choice to leave. I have that privilege,
and
I do.
How many people have that privilege, though?
How many?
To leave. How many Palestinians have the privilege
to
be able to do what
or the ability economically
well,
to
no,
leave.
let's talk about the amount that don't have. We're talking about 2 million in Gaza and 2 million here. About 1.5
as
million
a former American veteran soldier myself, I've seen the IDF. They're not real soldiers, man. They're not. I've been to Afghanistan. You know what I mean? I know what real soldiers are supposed to behave like. And I'm not saying America's perfect, because it's not. And what they're doing in Afghanistan is wrong. But here, this is colonialism.
Right.
It's colonialism, man. That's what it is. I mean, people are dying. It's a genocide. It's a genocide that's happening, and they don't behave like real soldiers. I mean, they approached that. There was 5 soldiers yesterday that approached a teenager for his ID card, man.
Right.
No, he was.
They were strapped. They look like they were going in Vietnam. Like they 6 magazines.
He was mentally challenged. He was literally shaking, like on the floor, crying. So I said, "What's wrong?"
Right.
And I'm
well,
like,
the ultimate.
As a soldier, you know?
And then they're kids. The soldiers are kids.
Yeah.
They make it mandatory for young boys to go into the army. They're trigger happy. If these guys weren't around, they probably would have shot me. The amount of times the guy on camera put his gun in my face, just because I was saying to him, "How old are you?" You're probably the same age as this kid that you're harassing. And the kid's like crying hysterically. I'm like, "Does that make you happy?" And it takes 5 of you to get his ID card. No, that's intimidating. 5 guys with M16s chasing you down the street, where you know every day they shoot people and execute people on video, and nothing happens. And the whole world is like, "Well, fuck it, because they're Arabs." That's basically how they look at us, like we're some cockroaches.
Right.
We've gone to demonstration where they just open fire like nothing, like it doesn't even matter. Like there's kids there, they don't care. And they can't keep saying, "Oh, well, they throw rocks." You've got M16s, you've got tanks, you can't compare that.
Got armor.
There's no comparison. When somebody comes to your house, do you have kids?
I have 2 children, yeah.
If somebody came to your house, right, and was attacking your house, you would do whatever it takes to protect your family.
Right.
That's what Palestinians are doing. That's not terrorism. That's called resistance.
Right. Right.
And that's natural.
Well, I think the biggest problem to me anyway, is when you have an area like this, there's a psychological damage that is going to last generations.
Oh yeah.
Because you've seen the same thing in Ireland, Northern Ireland. You've seen the same thing in many pockets of the world where the same thing in South Africa, where they've tried very hard to, they've put up a wall, they've tried to separate, and it creates a lot of damage. And I honestly don't know what the answer is. I mean, I've talked to a lot of Israelis. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to Palestinians. I'm a comedian on television. I don't know what the answer is here. I have no idea.
It's not Judaism. It's not Islam. The problem is Zionism.
I'm a Christian.
It's Zionism. It's terrorism. It's supremacy. It's the same thing as white supremacy, Al Qaeda, KKK, or ISIS, whatever. They all have this supremacy issue. You know what I mean? It's not religion. It's the supremacy of it. Zionism is this thing where they feel that they have to be the best, that they feel that they are.
Well, do you think that there's another? Do you think that there might be, probably on? There's also another side of it where there are people who would say we don't want the Jewish state to exist at all. We don't want to accept it at all.
If you speak to Palestinians, you can go into refugee camps, which they would never take you, right? But you would be welcomed, and people will welcome you into their home and give you the clothes.
No, we're on our way to. We wanted to go to a refugee camp.
Which one? With the IDF?
No, we're not going with the IDF.
Which one are you going to?
Which one?
Which one
are we? Which one are we going to?
You say you don't know what to do, but the only thing that Palestinian people have asked us for since we've gotten here is for everyone in the world to know what's happening here, and what's happening to them. And you have a platform that a lot of people don't have. That mental trauma that you're talking about, that trauma is a trauma that the whole world is going to have to live with, not just the Palestinian people. So as American people who have funded what's happening here without that being their intention, that's a trauma that we are going to have to own also. That's a trauma that everyone in the world is going to have to own. And we have to understand that every time that we get away with doing this, is going to set a precedent that makes it okay to do worse and worse and worse. And by the time that it gets so out of control that we actually want to do something about it, we're not going to be able to do something about it. It's going to be too late. You have the platform that we came here so that we can bring back this to our families, to 5 people, 10 people, 20 people. But you have millions and millions and millions of people that have the responsibility to those people.
Well,
whether it's comedy or not.
Our intention here, our intention here
but
was
just information, you know.
Our intention here was to visit Israel and start, and also visit Palestine.
No, that's questionable. Hold on, because my dad was born in Haifa in 1939.
Right.
So where would he have been born? In 1939, what was it called?
Right, I understand. It was Palestine.
Okay, so then Haifa is, to me, Palestine, right?
Yes. So the point I'm trying to make is we are trying to, and keep in mind, the program that we have will end up being 40 minutes long, and it's going to try and be a small slice of what's happening over here. And so what you would really need to capture exactly what's happening here would be probably a 45-hour-long documentary that would tell.
But
Did you watch the video? I'm sorry. Did you watch the video in Hebron of the young Palestinian man they had shot in the legs, and then the settler came up to him, a very violent settler, went up to him, and the soldier gave him his helmet, and he shot the Palestinian in the head and left him to die there, right? Do you know that 83% of Israeli society was in favor of the soldier doing that and started an entire campaign in his support? Show me a Palestinian that would tell you that any child that was killed by another Palestinian in a way like that, executed, they would celebrate it. They never would, because they know what compassion and humanity is. Israelis don't, I'm sorry, and that's something you might have to do a little more research on, but I don't know how deep your tour is going to take you. Our tour goes into people's homes. In Aida camp, you shouldn't just walk around the camp because it's not a museum. Go into people's homes who have lost children and speak to them. Speak to them and look in the mother's eyes, because we paid for the weapons that killed her child.
Where's the poster?
Do you understand what I'm saying? In the back of the car, go grab it. Grab it, it's in the back of the car.
Speak about the desert.
I want to show you the poster of the video. Have you been down to Halad?
The box of the U.S.
We got the Sudanese refugees living in it.
We went out to the desert and we found a U.S. ammo box in the
made in Tennessee.
U.S. ammo box. Trust me, I know what an ammo box looks like. It was literally in the middle of the desert. That's volumes right there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's speaking volumes. And the thing is, they want to call everybody that fights back against the Zionists, they want to call them terrorists, bro. It's not terrorism, man.
Right.
It's like she said. If somebody came into your home,
so what is it? What is it?
Do you know what this wall is about? If you go, they take you to areas like Aram, right, next to between Jerusalem and Ramallah. This war has separated family buildings from family buildings. It has separated Palestinians from their land. Do you understand what I'm saying? This war is not about security. There's nothing to do with security. We go through checkpoints. This is a little girl here, Asil Abu Aoun. Her dad was working on a house right there. She's crossing the street from the store, and the settler ran her right over. She flew up in the air, dropped on his bonnet, and was like laying on the bonnet bleeding, and he started hitting the brakes to get her off the car to drive off.
And he sped up to hit her.
Could you imagine as a father?
No.
And then he got, and then when the police came, they called his family so that he can make it back home safely.
Right.
So
his family came and took him home.
Took him home. Yeah.
And he got the settler gets away with it, and the father now has no child. And we sat in his home. We sat in his home. And
George Carlin used the platforms. Bill Hicks used the platform. Richard Pryor. Like we need people to stop being scared of speaking.
If you remain silent, bro, you add into the oppression.
You're gonna see it. You're gonna see it. You have to see it. You know what I mean? You can't ignore what's going on here.
You have to, bro.
It's not normal.
Well, no, I didn't come all the way here to ignore what's going. I came a long way to come here.
Come and don't say things.
Pardon me?
I said a lot of people come and they don't see real. You know what I mean? They don't actually go into the real places that you need to be in.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you go into every single house you go into in Aida, if you were to go door to door, they would all welcome you.
Yes.
Right, in their home.
Well,
and every single person has lost someone or their children have been in jail.
Right.
Israelis don't come in. Like, you know how normal army will come in and take somebody in the daytime, or, you know what I mean? They come in at 3 a.m. In the refugee camps, they don't knock on doors. They come through walls because they're too scared to come into a refugee camp. They come through walls, they demolish homes upon homes to get to one person.
Right.
There will be a picture of a kid with his face covered and they'll say, you threw a stone at a soldier. And right now they have a law that gives kids 20 years in jail for throwing a rock at a soldier who came to his refugee camp with an M16.
And all they ask, we asked them, again, all they ask is, we want the world to know we exist.
Sure.
They're shocked that anyone outside of their direct community even knows that they're alive, that they exist.
You really don't think that people know that there's a lot of pain and agony among the Palestinians? You think people don't know?
No.
I have a degree in history from a college. I paid out of my pocket to go to college in the United States, and I have a degree in history, and I didn't know what was going on here until I went and sought that information out for myself. So I basically paid the United States, universities to lie to me. You understand?
I mean, think about it, bro. When you got here, look how many guards are. Think about how many. Everywhere you go, there's a goddamn checkpoint you got to go through. And these people are standing there with guns. Like that doesn't shake up a little. Like goddamn, like why is this guy got a gun right here in my face?
And
like
Conan,
that's the thing.
They
you only
check me.
Right.
Bro.
Why?
Right.
Because I look like you.
Right.
I mean, you're a celebrity. I'm sure you didn't get the same treatment that we all got. But what I'm saying is that no one should have to live like that. No one should have to wake up, look outside, and then there's a guard there with an M4, M16 staring right back at him, bro.
And shells. And shells.
So let me just ask you again. What do you think, if you could dream of a solution, what would that solution involve?
Stop funding Israel's army. 10 million a day. People are jumping out of windows in New York because they can't afford healthcare. And they're giving this army 10 million a day from our tax money.
And telling us our schools, there's not enough money for our schools.
We have one solution. This is Palestine, from the river to the sea. They should leave our land. This is about the fund, not about the fundraising or about giving money to Israel.
Right.
This is our land.
If someone invades your land, they gotta go.
This is the solution.
They gotta go. That's what it is.
In the same way,
but they will go, but it will be easier, and that is an actual possibility if we're not the ones funding it. Because if we weren't funding it, this would not be going on here. And if American people knew where their money was going, and the fact that when our wonderful orange president got elected, and people are very sad that
let's not go after him for having orange hair. Yeah. Now you're getting personal with me.
It's his orange face.
Now you have a problem with me.
It's his orange face.
It's his face.
No, but
that got very personal very fast.
But really, when as a parent, my kids their education is being taken away from them because the money that should be going to their education is coming here to kill kids that are just like my kids. That's not what I.
So my question, my next question is, how did you come here? How did you find out, or how did this become your cause?
Because the liberation of
No, I know that, but I'm saying for you, I'm talking about for you personally.
We can't have free people anywhere in the world if anybody is oppressed. It's going to take the liberation of all people. So it is my responsibility as a human to now educate myself about all oppressed people everywhere and find what it is that I can do, just me, because that's all I can do, is find what I can do to learn, to teach my kids, to speak to my community, to have alternative education, alternative journalism, to find groups that do tours here so that I I can understand what's happening so that I can bring that back to the American people, because only I can impact my direct community. And my hope is that by me talking to 20 people, that each of those 20 people go out and talk to 20 people. And if that's all I can do, I'm not Palestinian. I am not here to save Palestine or to resolve the problems or to even speak to for my Palestinian brothers and sisters. All I could do is do my part by saying Palestine, Palestine, Palestine. Something's happening, and tell them the truth about what I've seen with my own eyes, so that when other people see the news and see the lies in our media, they know, no, I know somebody that went there for themselves and saw it for themselves, and that person knows the truth. And that's my responsibility. And not everyone has the ability to do that.
Right.
Not everybody can come here and do that.
Right.
So I have to take advantage.
Well, here's
of
what I can tell you. I can tell you that there's no way my 40-minute program is going to satisfy what it is you want me to do. Now, hold. Let me just finish. Let me just finish. There's no. What I'm saying is, what I'm committed to. What I'm committed to doing is letting people know that this situation exists. And I do think there are a lot of people who know this situation exists. Do they know the extent to which you're talking about? Do they actually see it? No. Do they feel it? They can't possibly. They cannot possibly see it unless they come here. I mean, when you tell me, can you imagine one of your children being killed? No, I can't. It's the worst thing in the world that anyone can imagine. What we can do in my show, which is going to be like all of my travel shows, what we try and do is just go to different countries and dip our toe in the water and say, this is the situation here. We try to do some comedy. What I try to do on a human level is make people in other cultures laugh. But we also want to touch on, there's something very sad, very tragic here, which is why we wanted to come here today and be here. Will this program satisfy what you guys want? It's not going to, but what I do promise, what I do promise to do is make sure that people who watch this program will have an idea that this other reality exists. And then what I do think is called for is more shows like this that focus on exactly what's happening here. And I do think that, yes, you say comedians have a responsibility. It gets to be a very tricky thing. I think human beings have a responsibility. And I don't, and I think some comedians excel at talking about pain. Others, it's not their medium, it's not their forte. They can be here and you can try and show it in your own way, but I would never put myself in the league with a Pryor or a Hicks because they had very different abilities.
I'm going to share two more things. Two more things, Conan, please.
Yeah.
One is, if your show doesn't spread the same propaganda that every other media has spread, then you've done your, then in 45 minutes, as long as there's no propaganda included, then great. And then the second thing is that in Charlottesville recently, a big tragedy happened, right?
Yep.
Our president came out and said there's two sides, right?
Yep.
And the world was outraged at this comment. So why is it that we can't be outraged at the comment when people say there's two sides here, Israel and Palestine? There is no two sides.
There's a truth. The bottom line is, you have a family.
Right.
Somebody comes to your house and says, my ancestors were here 3,000 years ago, and they shoot half your family, God forbid, and they take your house.
Right.
That's the bottom line. They weren't here. There were always Jews here, nothing to do with Judaism. We're talking about people that are coming from Brooklyn, people that are being paid to live in settlements and being armed at the age of 16. We're talking about people coming from Europe and being paid and funded to live in Israel. That's the bottom line.
Can I ask a quick question? Sweeney? This, I mean, it would... Look, I'm going to be honest with you, you'd be shocked at how short 40 minutes of television is. But listen, you know, we would be, if we have your permission, we'd like your permission to be able to show this encounter. Is that on the show? I'm not, and online. Is that?
As long as it gets edited right and not, you know.
We
have the full.
First of all, let's be fair. You guys have done 95% of the talking.
Yes.
So there is no way I can edit this so that you don't get your point of view across because you're very good at talking. No, but listen.
Because we're passionate about the truth.
Listen, you are right. You are right to be passionate. You have every right to be passionate. What I'm saying is, what I'd like to do is, because this was a real encounter, show this real encounter. And one of the things we found out about our show is there's the online version of the show, but everything that we push out online actually gets a much bigger audience. So we can actually put a lot of this encounter online, and that would be seen by Blay.
Yes, sir.
How many people would see this? Millions of people would see this.
Absolutely.
And I could do that, and you'll see the final edited show, and you'll say, okay, he's acting like an ass there, he's acting like an ass there. He's, of course, trying to explain the situation, but I do want this encounter to be shown. And I do promise you that, as I said, if I couldn't edit this, unless we actually got actors to say to say words coming out of. Denzel will play you.
Hold on 1 second. As a Palestinian, right? I don't live here.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna ask him what he wants you to see while you're here. ايش بتحب انه هو يشوفه هو هون؟ يعني ايش اهم اشي انه هو يشوفه؟ بقول انه ما عندوش كتير وقت. ايش اهم اشي هو يشوفه في عين؟
Okay, go to visit the family in the refugee camp. We don't need you to come to see the settlement in the villages and what the settlers doing.
Well, where are we heading from here?
And see the family.
We were
Aida camp you're going to, yeah. But what I'm saying is, meet the families. They're the ones that lost their homes in pre-48, 48, 52. They're the ones that lived in tents, and the Europeans and Americans are living in their homes right now in 48. Just visit them. Just speak to one family. خذوا عند عائلة واحدة. بس عائلة واحدة.
عائلة شهيد واحدة بس. عائلة شهيد واحدة. شوف قديش بتعاني.
I've done workshops here with lots of children, and one of the first questions I ask them is, what do you think people outside Palestine say about you? They said that we're terrorists.
Oh.
Right? So there
You know what's interesting? I did a show in Mexico several months ago, February. I did a show in Mexico, and the thing that broke my heart was that the majority of Mexican people that came up to me said, why does your country hate us? And I said, we don't hate you. That is you're getting a skewed perspective, because you see this one. Let's not go the orange place. Some orange people have hearts. Yeah, okay. But one of the things that really broke my heart is that they would come up, these beautiful people, and they would say, why are we not liked? And I would say that's not true. That is a misrepresentation. But I could not blame them, because they see a rally where someone's saying we're going to build a wall and not let any rapists in. And we're not going to let any rapists in.
Right. Same company, G4S.
They build a good wall, man. You just did an ad for them. But that's what I'm saying, is that you can't. That's what made me sad, is that I knew that I just know that most Americans don't feel that way. They really don't feel that way towards the people of Mexico, and I think that's very sad that people here believe. I think they're seeing.
Palestine is very far from Mexico and from the United States.
Right.
So
and the media.
Well, here's what I know I have to do. I know if I'm gonna go and actually get this on footage, we have such a tight schedule that I will go and I will do that. And with your permission, if you'll all sign, we'll make sure that this gets out.
And we have workshops at 3 p.m. in Dahisha. If you would like to join us at the Shuruq Center, مين اللي ماخده؟ أنتم ماخدينه؟ Well, we have workshops. If you would like to come meet some kids, they're like young female rappers and stuff that rap in English about their message. You're more than welcome. It's a youth center.
Do you think rapping is how I get my information?
I think you should try and rap.
You work for us.
I know. Guess what? It's just.
Got some of us here.
I'm an old Irish Catholic guy, and whenever I hear a message, even a good one in rap, it doesn't get through.
But these little girls got through to Lauren Hill.
Well, thank you. Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you for talking to us.
Yeah, and if you're cool with us putting this online, as it unfolded, I'd be happy to do that.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Star Wars, the ultimate. All right, guys, we're gonna go. But thank you. Take care. And your initial thing about shakshuka. Shakshuka. That's the information I was given. So what would you like me to call it from now on?
It is shakshuka. It's just not Israeli.
Okay, so
it's actually North African. It's actually North African.
Okay.
Let's be real.
Cuisine is not my thing. I apologize.
Israel is not real.
All right, take care.